Well, hello, good morning and welcome. I apologise for getting the time wrong. I'm just so excited about Harry and Meghan returning to the UK.
Who wants them?
It's actually only 9:30.
Oh, God, I can't stand the thought of it. Why are they coming back? That is the question everyone's going to be asked. What's gone wrong with America? Is their marriage in trouble? Is it make or break?
Who knows? I just think they miss the weather, personally. But here is someone who can tell us all about it, our royal correspondent, Cameron Walker. Welcome to the studio. Welcome to Britain's Newsroom. What can you tell us? Breaking news overnight.
Well, completely breaking news overnight. I don't think many people saw this coming. I mean, clearly there's a shift here, isn't it? Remember back 6 years ago, they had a Netflix series, they had a Spotify deal that was coming up, they had all of these business ventures going on. The Spotify deal was canned early. Most of the Netflix videos that they have done have been little bits of a flop, to be honest, apart from that first one where they essentially documented their exit as working royals. Meghan still has her lifestyle brand, including the selling of jam.
$12 a jar.
Well, I am told that she's going to continue with that, but I question how, because you can't get that jam and whatever else in the United Kingdom. Apparently she's going to be doing that from home. This is much better for Prince Harry than Meghan, because Harry, and I've observed him in the last year, clearly is in his element when he's, supporting military charities and supporting children's charities. It's almost like him being a little bit of working royal again. The kids, of course, coming to school in the UK in a couple of weeks, so they've been sniffing around schools, clearly. They've obviously found somewhere to live, all of which out of the public spotlight and without anybody reporting it, which suggests to me that their narrative that they were subject to media intrusion and they would be subject to media intrusion while they're in the UK just doesn't really stack up if they can do all of this stuff out of the public eye.
Yeah, and I assume now we know when Harry and Meghan came here a few weeks ago, whenever it was, Cameron, it was a surprise that she came too, presumably looking at schools, looking at homes.
Well, originally we were told that Meghan would be seen in public with Harry at the Invictus Games event in Birmingham. That was pulled last minute over security concerns, and also, of course, a couple of days before, Harry had just lost his case against Associated Newspapers and the Daily Mail, so maybe Meghan didn't want to be pictured in that particular difficult week for Prince Harry. But you're right, they perhaps were looking at schools around that time. I'm told it wasn't discussed at the Highgrove meeting with the King and the Queen. The King only found out about this on Sunday up at Balmoral. The Telegraph reporting the Prince and Princess of Wales were informed ahead of time. Kensington Palace not talking to me last night or indeed this morning, which suggests to me that the King was the one that informs Prince William, or at least the King's team informed Prince William. I think he is not going to be very happy about this, William.
Because we do know for a fact, Cameron, not just idle speculation, William and Harry have not spoken for some years now. No,
I know for absolute certain they have not been on speaking terms for a number of years. That's going to be far more difficult now that they're both living within the UK. I think it was quite easy for both sides, actually, when you've got the Atlantic Ocean in between the two of them, to keep a distance. However, they're back in the UK. They're coming back to the UK. The King clearly is going to want to invite Meghan and Harry to various family events, including the Sandringham Walk at Christmas, for example. So, within the next 6 months, William and Harry are likely to be forced to be in the same room as each other, unless one of them really puts their foot down, because, of course, there is stubbornness involved sometimes as well. But the other big point, of course, security.
Yeah.
Has that suddenly changed? The Home Office basically giving their usual spiel, which is we don't comment on private security matters. It's up to the Ravik Committee Home Office. Remember, Harry sued His Majesty's government in His Majesty's courtroom and lost over his security arrangements, his 24/7 taxpayer-funded police protection being taken away when he stood back as a working royal. He's not going to become a working royal anytime soon. So either the threats which Harry was very much airing in all of these interviews, including one with the BBC last year, those threats were not as severe as he first thought, and therefore was he paranoid is the question, or the Home Office have had a change of heart and is upgrading the level of protection, and therefore taxpayers will be paying for it.
And we're entitled to know that if the taxpayer's involved.
I would argue that that's in the public interest. If taxpayers are paying for non-working royals' police protection, I think that is in the public interest. So we'll see how long the Home Office's line lasts, that we do not comment on private security arrangements.
And they're coming any time soon? They're back any time soon?
I think within the next couple of weeks, because the schools will be going back early September. That's in 2 weeks' time.
Well, Cameron Walker, a busy day for you. I'm sure we'll be returning to you later, but thank you very much, Cameron. Well, let's speak now to royal biographer Tom Bower and the author of Betrayal, Power, Deceit and the Fight for the Future of the Royal Family. Tom, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Britain's Newsroom. This news seems to be very much unexpected, even to the royal family themselves. What do you think has precipitated the timing of Harry and Meghan moving back to the UK?
I think they're desperate. I think they're desperate because they run out of any hope of conquering Hollywood. They're isolated in America. I think the money is running down. And I think as well that Harry is terribly concerned that he could lose his titles. I think he's desperate about his status in Britain. And he's lonely in America. I think that he needs Britain because that is really his home. And he's been unable to shape any sort of career in California. And as far as Meghan is concerned, I've always thought she relies on him. There's no way that she can survive without him and his status. And she herself is humiliated by her failures. So it makes sense for them to come back to Britain. But whether the royal family really is going to welcome them, I must say I doubt.
Tom, what can they do here? Because if he doesn't come back as a working royal, and there'd be a huge question mark over that, I would think, with the Prince of Wales, not least. What does Harry do? Can he just do charity work full time? That won't give him an income.
I think income is, at the moment, the least of his problems. He wants status.
Right.
He wants a life worth living. And I think what he'll do is he'll inveigle himself into various charities here. He will find quite easily some charities who will be delighted to have him as their figurehead and as their guest. And he hopes that way, one way or another, he can worm his way back into the royal family. Of course, the big block is Prince William and Catherine, who under no circumstances, in my view, would allow these traitors, these lecherous, to get their way back into the royal family. I don't believe for a moment that Harry and Meghan will be on the Sandringham Christmas walk. It would be absolutely inconceivable. And I don't think the king would even allow them to do that because they're not working royals. I don't think they'll get any protection either. I think they're here because they're desperate and somehow it gives them a chance to rebuild their lives.
Tom, of course, there's a lot of water under the bridge between Harry and William and the rest of the royal family, and rebuilding trust is going to be very, very difficult. But there is a human side to this story as well, isn't there? They have two children who do not know their grandparents, who don't know their aunts, their uncles and their cousins. There is something to be welcomed, to be celebrated about the opportunity for those two children now to grow up near to their family. That's surely something to celebrate.
I don't celebrate it at all because I don't think that William will want his children to meet Harry's children. And I also think that the Sussexes have a lot to answer for. They made all their money by trashing the royal family, by trashing Britain. The damage that they did to Britain, those two, is incalculable. And I don't think there's any forgiveness amongst the British for Meghan, at least, who was absolutely outrageous in her commercial, exploitative, hypocritical behavior. And as for Harry, there is a residue of emotion for him and respect for him. After all, he'd been a brave soldier and all the rest. But he's got a long way to go to win back the trust of Britons. So I think this is the beginning of the downfall for them. They're trying to stave it off, but I think they'll find it very, very difficult to fashion a new career in Britain.
Of course, Meghan comes back. Of course, she's leaving behind her mother, who she was apparently very close to. And, of course, we know that she never did have any reconciliation with her father, who is not in good health.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure that Doreen will come to England occasionally to see her family, if not move in too. I mean, to find a large house in the English countryside at the moment at a low rent isn't difficult. So there'll be lots of space for her. But I think in the end, what it shows is that they made a terrible, terrible mistake by trashing Britain, by leaving Britain, by Meghan thinking she could create an amazing career in Hollywood, which already had rejected her and has rejected her now for the second time. And I find this all wonderful to watch because it really does show that people who behave badly get a just reward.
Well, Tom, you didn't pull your punches, as ever. Tom Bower, who is the author of Betrayal, Power, Deceit and the Fight for the Future of the Royal Family, thank you so much for joining us. I think that the public in the court of public opinion, they're not going to be forgiven either. Cameron's still here.
Well, I think also the public opinion needs looking at. I'm sorry, but all this shows to me is how much people enjoy glorifying other people's failures, and I would rather just leave them alone.
I mean, I think Tom was right when he said that Prince William will be having none of it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tricky.
The thing is, why should we leave him alone, Miriam, when Harry wrote a book which earned him millions of pounds trashing his family?
Well, why don't we just stop talking about them, and then the message won't get through?
Because he's leaked the story to a national newspaper.
You don't have to print it. No one has to print it.
Well, of course they're going to print it. It's a
We're
huge
encouraging
story.
them by doing that.
Well,
we're giving them exactly the reward they want. If we don't print it, if we don't talk about it, they'll just have to go away and live private lives.
But they can't bear living
But it
private
makes
lives.
too many people too much money.
Yeah.
That's the problem,
Also,
and not them.
The fact is, they never did lead a private life in a Montecito because they were always trying to get in the media. That's what Harry likes. That's been his life all his life, even though he says he doesn't like it. Extraordinary story.
I'd be quite happy never to talk about them again.
Well, you're going to struggle because I'm afraid. That's still ahead.
I bought my book, actually. No.
Still ahead. We are going to be talking about this extraordinary document, a guide for asylum seekers, which is telling them that rape is not permissible in this country, nor is beating up women.
Right.
An astonishing admission by the British government that they're allowing all these thousands of men in here with their medieval attitudes. And where do they go when they get here? Astonishing.
Indeed. But first of all, if you're still planning your holiday now that the weather has turned in the UK, here's the forecast for our top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. We continue to see heavy rain across parts of the Alps over the next 24 hours. Plenty of hot sunshine across Greece. Sunshine continues across parts of Spain and Portugal. 1 or 2 showers there on Friday across Madeira, but plenty of blue skies across Portugal into Spain. Just 1 or 2 showers possible, but that heavy rain continues across parts of the Dolomites and the Alps, but plenty of sunshine in Greece. Athens there, 35 Celsius. And for most, it remains sunny through the weekend and into the next week too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Joining us now is Head of Advocacy at Big Brother Watch, Jack Colson. Jack, interested to know your view on this. You know, why shouldn't I be able to wear my Meta glasses around?
Well, certainly there are times and places where Meta glasses might be of use, particularly for those with visual impairments. The technology really could be a breakthrough, but we see these as the tip of an iceberg. Meta's glasses have already been potentially linked to facial recognition technology, which really would be a stalker's charter. And we are operating in an environment where perpetrators of harassment feel safe to use this technology when really it's the public who ought to feel safe. So the government ultimately are going to have to explore restrictions on this kind of technology, and we're seeing civil society push back.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I do think it's worrying that young people, I mean, are they I think they are more risk averse. Yes. I think they are scared of getting into personal space. I think you're right, there are issues about consent and everything else. But how sad that people say that it's been a year since they've been kissed. What is life for if you're not having a little kiss every now and again?
Yeah, the death of the kiss.
Apparently, much younger people now haven't had a good snog in over 12 months on average, the people that have been interviewed. But I would hazard a guess that that's because people are frightened. Men don't know when they can approach women anymore. Men can think 1 or 2 steps ahead on the same board, whereas a woman will think about 18 steps. So
I think you're overthinking it.
If a man takes you to Paris for the weekend, a woman will come back disappointed that they haven't proposed them, whereas a man thinks they've done a really great thing.
Why do men always think you're going to be proposed to in Paris? That you expect that. We don't expect that. Just take us to Paris.
The People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I'm thrilled to say now I'm joined by another World War II veteran.
In my judgment, the Mosquito was a better aircraft because it's got 2 Spitfire engines.
And you flew it all over Europe. You told me that you had a particularly memorable flight near Berlin. What happened there?
A shell came up underneath, it lifted up the aircraft and it interfered for a brief period with the fuel supply. I didn't know. All I knew was I'd got the propellers were windmilling around and we hadn't any power. And eventually the power came on again, and I leaned across to Doug, my navigator. He was a Canadian, a wonderful bloke. And I said to him, you weren't frightened, were you, Doug? And he said, no, I wasn't frightened, I was bloody terrified.
GB News.
It is 9:48. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Now, just a warning, there are some graphic details coming up in our discussion. The Home Office are giving illegal immigrants a booklet on why they should not rape women and children. Asylum seekers apparently have to be told that sex with under-16s is wrong.
Absolutely shocking admission, isn't it, by the government that they're allowing people into this country with medieval attitudes to women and sex. And it's now in writing. The booklet says laws and customs here may be different from your home country. It says sex with someone under the age of 16 is a serious crime in the UK. Even if they say, yes, it is still illegal, you could go to prison, lose your support and accommodation. It will affect your asylum claim.
And illegal immigrants are being told what the definition of rape is. It says in the UK, both people must say yes to sex. This is called consent. It's still illegal if you're married to the person or they've previously said yes, but now say no.
This 9-page document, would it have stopped the 3 men who gang raped a woman on Brighton Beach on October the 1st? I don't think it would have made any difference whatsoever, Miriam.
Exactly.
And by the way, what language is it in? Because if it's in English, Mark White's here, our home security editor, if it's only in English, a lot of them can't speak a word of English anyway.
It's available in multiple languages, right. So Pashtun, for Afghans, yeah. And also available to those from Iran and many other cultures that might be seen now, as the government admits, to be quite problematic. I think it's incredible, I do, that this pamphlet has been published like this. I think in the Home Office they'll be delighted, quietly delighted, that the Harry and Meghan story is broken. Otherwise, we still will give plenty of coverage to this, but it would have been wall to wall with this because it's such a shift now. Remember, effectively, what people like, commentators on this channel were treated like when they dare suggest that there are cultures and countries where people's respect for women, their interpretation of what is right and wrong around sex and the treatment of women is so different to ours that they pose a risk. The way in which those commentators were absolutely attacked. Now you have the government in terms coming out and declaring this as a policy to suggest that, yes, there are clearly countries where the people that come from these countries are what you would describe as a risk group. And for me, what is now or what could potentially be a very difficult process going forward for the government in publishing this is how on earth do you reassure the communities right across the country where you're expecting these people to be housed, that there is no risk here, when you're acknowledging that by the very fact that you've gone to the trouble of putting out these pamphlets to encourage people not to indulge in activities which could cross the criminal threshold. So, for instance, when people were taking to the streets in towns and villages right across the country, they were being condemned as taking their lead from the far-right playbook. You can't say that anymore. If you are, in terms as a government, now acknowledging very publicly that there is a risk from these countries and cultures.
Yeah. It's just looking at some of these words, though, Miriam. Look, women can work and earn their own money. Study and go to school, university, travel freely, make their own decision about their lives. They do not need permission from a husband, father, brother or any man to do any of these things. It is jaw-dropping. They have to spell this out.
Well, and also what I think it highlights is, the government has now gone to the trouble of issuing these pamphlets in various languages, as I say, for these people. But then there's the argument, which I think is a very valid argument, about if that's your true belief now as a government, that people coming from certain countries and cultures inherently are a risk group, is a pamphlet really going to make any difference to a mindset that has been entrenched in someone over many, many years of being, you know, in that country, growing up in that country, with that country's cultures and values?
They're probably laughing at it.
Well, yeah, and explaining the law when what actually we're talking about is culture clash. Like, if you go to France, you might check the speed limits before you go. That's the kind of legal information you need. This isn't really about law. It's about cultural attitudes that are ingrained from childhood. And the idea that reading this booklet is going to stop somebody from going out and raping someone is for the birds.
I think you're 100% right. It's not about an infraction of some law. It's about what's in there. It's about the way in which people have been brought up for years and what they accept as a norm. And reading a pamphlet is not going to change that mindset.
If you have sex with someone without their consent, this is called rape. Rape is a serious crime in the UK. You could go to prison. Why you could go to prison? You will go to prison if you rape someone.
Quite possibly won't. And the
You should.
whole purpose
And it might affect your immigration status.
Only might.
Yeah.
Well, we do need to read this right of reply from the
Good
Home
luck with that,
Office.
Miriam.
A spokesman said, "We expect everyone who comes to the UK to abide by our laws. If they do not, they will face consequences, including the refusal of their asylum claim and removal from the UK. Returns of failed asylum seekers have reached their highest level since 2010 under this government."
Big deal. There's tens of thousands of these men coming in this country. We see them on those boats. They're men in their 20s and 30s.
It's more than 200,000 in the country since 2018.
Incredible.
Yeah, staggering.
Well, still ahead, Harry and Meghan will be coming back to the UK later this month. What type of welcome will they get?
Not a great one from me.
A royal reconciliation. This is Britain's
Miriam
News
doesn't care.
on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. A day of sunshine and showers today. Some of them will be heavy, the risk of hail and thunder as well. Some local travel disruption. A Met Office warning for those thunderstorms in place for parts of England and Wales as heavy showers push southwards. Not everywhere will see the showers. There will be some sunny spells in between, a northerly breeze behind this band of showery rain as well, setting in, feeling quite cool across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. The mid-teens here. In the best of the sunshine, perhaps 22 or 23 Celsius across southern parts of England, around 20 Celsius there across southern Wales as well. Those showers continuing to push southwards into the evening time and turning quite chilly as well. So looking at the details across northern Scotland, a cloudy end to the day, some showery outbreaks of rain, perhaps one or two glimmers of sunshine, showers across southern Scotland into Northern Ireland as well, but not quite as heavy compared to during the afternoon. Heavy showers though for England and Wales to end the day, and some rumbles of thunder still possible as well. Temperatures around 18 Celsius there around 7 or 8 p.m. However, those showers should start to fade away as we head through the latter part of the day into the early hours. Still some coastal showers, but inland we'll see plenty of clear skies developing, and that will allow for quite a chilly night. Temperatures, towns and cities just about holding in double figures, but in the countryside 5 or 6 degrees in one or two spots. But it does mean there'll be more sunny spells around tomorrow morning, but some showers around coastal areas. One or two of these could be heavy at times too, and they may just develop a little further inland as we move through into the afternoon. But that northerly breeze remains, so temperatures around, if not a little below average for the time of year. We haven't seen that for quite some time. Highs around 21 or 22 Celsius towards southern England. Elsewhere, the mid to high teens. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for all of you who listen to GB News Radio.
Whether you're at home or on the go, you're making us Britain's news channel and Britain's radio station.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A36 is closed after the A360 in Salisbury, and the A303 is closed after the A3057. The M27 is closed at junction 2 in Romsey, and the M25 anti-clockwise is closed between junctions 14 and 13 in Chertsey. In Scotland, the A92 southbound at Lochgelly is partially blocked after a collision. Across Wales, the M4 eastbound at J33 Capel Llanilturn is congested. And on the trains, Greater Anglia services are facing major disruption between Shenfield and Southend Victoria, while East Midlands Railway services are running a temporary reduced timetable. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes. You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner. First of all, we want to give you £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock on Thursday, the 20th of August. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
We're taking you back to 2022 when Harry and Meghan said this.
Had we not gone out when we did,
our security was being pulled. Everyone in the world knew where we were.
I said, we need to get out of here.
Well, now the Sussexes are coming back to Britain with their tails between their legs 6 years after leaving for California. Despite only last year, Harry saying he couldn't see a world where he would return with his family.
I would love reconciliation with my family.
And the Home Office hands illegal migrants a booklet telling them not to rape women, beat them up or mutilate their genitals. A tacit admission, isn't it? An obvious admission that these people are coming in with medieval attitudes.
So our performance on removals from the country has gone up very significantly. It's going in the right direction.
Well, more than 80,000 foreign criminals have been sent home in 2 years as deportations hit a decade high. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood considers introducing a Rwanda-style plan.
A migrant camp's been extended. A Home Office U-turns means the migrant site in Wethersfield will now stay open until 2029 instead of closing next spring to the horror of local residents.
Well, locals here in Braintree cannot wait for their voices to be heard. They're doing what they can here to have those concerns raised. The concerns are linked to the nearby asylum accommodation, RAF Wethersfield. They say that businesses in the area are also impacted by the site. We'll be chatting to them shortly.
And a war on waste. Fines for fly tippers skyrocket from £300 to £5,000. And police are given powers to seize cash, cars and homes.
And this morning, top GCSE grades rise, but key pass rate returns to pre-pandemic levels as students are getting their results this morning.
I'm feeling really good because I've got a 9 in history, English, both of the Englishes, and an 8 in art and maths, which is what I need.
Well, we've seen some absolutely brilliant reactions here at the Buell Hill Academy in Salford this morning. Lots of happy, excited faces, although things are now starting to wrap up as the last couple of students come here to get their results.
Well, Andrew, it's absolutely extraordinary to see in writing instructions to people trying to claim asylum here about how to obey our laws. But these are not just laws about things like speed limits or property rights, but about basic treatment of women and children that we take for granted in this country and that we've spent generations, hundreds of years, in fact, making sure we have the kind of culture where women are safe.
And it says in bold language, if you have sex with someone without their consent, this is called rape. Rape is a serious crime in the UK. You could go to prison. It should say you will go to prison.
And yet the government is choosing to place these young men who we know come from cultures where those kind of behaviours are acceptable, perhaps even expected. We're placing them without being detained in amongst communities that have women and children. We're seeing an increasing number of these kind of attacks and crimes. That's presumably why the government has printed it. But how can Andy Burnham now turn around to the people in those villages and say, don't worry, it'll be fine, they will integrate?
And he only said to GBNews, didn't he, last week or the week before, more middle-class communities have to take more of these people. No primaries, we don't want any of them at all. We want them, when they arrive here, deported with their vile medieval views.
Well, he said everyone has to share the burden. Well, it's some burden, isn't it, when you read that document? It's extraordinary they've put this in writing, to be honest.
It really is. It's going to be a huge backlash. There's a Reform press conference later this morning. We'll be there for that. It was supposed to be about why foreign students shouldn't get student loans. I suspect it's going to be all about this document.
All the questions will be about that document.
All the questions will be. Tell us what you think, as ever. Send your views, post your comments by visiting
gbnews.com/your say. But first, here's the news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much and good morning. The top stories. Harry and Meghan are set to return to the UK 6 years after leaving for America. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are expected to move back at the end of August for their children Archie and Lilibet to attend British schools this September. It's understood the King was only made aware of the move on Sunday, which His Majesty is said to be pleased about. The decision comes a month after Prince Harry's reunion with King Charles, a major step towards reconciliation. But it's unclear whether disputed security issues have been discussed.
I would love reconciliation with my family. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. Ultimately, this whole thing could be resolved through him, not necessarily by intervening, but by stepping aside, allowing the experts to do what is necessary. I have had it described to me, once people knew about the facts, that this is an good old-fashioned establishment stitch-up.
In other news, the GCSE overall pass rate has fallen slightly for the 5th year in a row, but top grades have edged up across England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Meanwhile, girls have once again achieved better GCSE results than boys, but the gap between the genders is getting smaller. The results published this morning show 73.7% of females and 67.8% of males achieved grade 4 or C or above in their exams this year. The Home Office has released a 7-page booklet telling asylum seekers not to rape women. It follows a rise in migrant convictions linked to sex attacks. Official government guidance informs arrivals it's illegal to hit and control women and they cannot sleep with anyone underage or asleep. The Shadow Safeguarding Minister Alicia Kearns says the campaign is for migrants to recognise women as equal in our country. Is an admission of this danger. A Home Office spokesperson said, "We expect everyone who comes to the UK to abide by our laws. If they don't, they will face the consequences, including the refusal of their asylum claim and removal from the UK." In other news, the boss of Travelodge has quit amid a backlash over the chain's handling of a sexual assault at one of its hotels. Jo Boydell had been criticised for her response to the guest safety row that followed the attack in Maidenhead in Berkshire in December in 2022, in which a man had been given a key card to his victim's room. Kieran Smith, who had claimed to be her boyfriend, was jailed in February for 7.5 years. Now, leading children's doctors have warned that vaping should not be seen as a harmless part of growing up after a new review linked it to higher rates of breathing problems in children and young people. Experts also warned that vaping is a gateway to smoking and could lead to a number of health harms. The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health warned that concerns about vaping among children and young people continue to grow as it called on the government to limit the types of vape flavours. And Ukrainian officials have confirmed that 12 people have died in Kyiv following a night of heavy Russian bombardment. State emergency services also said that 34 people had been injured when apartment blocks, warehouses and a children's hospital were hit. Those are the latest GB News headlines. More in half an hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
You wouldn't have thought it, would you? But heads up, there are some graphic details here. We have to tell you that. The Home Office has released a 7-page booklet telling illegal migrants who claim to be asylum seekers not to rape women.
Yes, this is official government guidance and it informs arrivals that it is illegal to hit and control women and that they can't sleep with anyone underage or asleep.
And on your say, Andy says, this leaflet is disgraceful, a real slap on the face for the UK population and the victims of the heinous crimes committed by illegals, of which, Miriam, there have been very many recently, which is, I suspect, why this document's been released.
Yes, there have, absolutely.
In a number of languages.
Yeah. Whether it will make any difference or not remains to be seen. We're now joined by the former Immigration Minister, Kevin Foster, and friend of this programme. Kevin, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. This makes really harrowing reading, Kevin, because of course we know that these crimes are committed. They're committed by British people and they have been and sadly always will be. But I think the recognition that there are people coming to this country who don't even know that these behaviours are wrong or illegal, to see that in black and white is quite shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, if you need a leaflet to tell you that having sex with children is inappropriate, you really shouldn't be in this country. And also, it's not going to make much of a difference at all either, if that's the type of attitude you're taking. It does smack me as the sort of thing that, having been in Home Office meetings over the years, that there's been reports, Andrew's just referred to, of crimes, serious crimes being committed against women and children by those who come in on small boats. And then, we need to do something. We need to show we're doing something. Someone says, well, we could say we're briefing them that this is wrong. Yeah, great. I know, we'll put a leaflet out. It's the sort of thing that probably sounded great in a committee room when talked about, but in reality, it's not going to make much of a difference and is actually deeply troubling, particularly the fact that it talks about the age of consent being 16. It doesn't really make the big point that actually 16 and 17-year-olds are still children, even though they're over the age of consent.
When you read it, Kevin, from beginning to end, it is absolutely chilling. It is chilling because we know the government is allowing thousands and thousands of these men into this country every month, and we don't know where they're all ending up. They're closing these hotels. Great, we wanted them to close hotels, but even more so now, that means where are they going to, these people? And we heard from the Prime Minister just 2 weeks ago saying middle-class areas have got to take more of their share of the burden of these men.
Yeah, it's going to be concerned. I must say, there is a part of me that can understand why the Prime Minister might be pointing at particularly constituencies that voted Green or Liberal Democrat, who have generally opposed the idea of having tougher immigration and asylum legislation. That, well, if that's what you keep voting for, you might. Why should places like Stoke-on-Trent, Sunderland be the places that always get the impact for what other places vote for? But it is pretty chilling. It is concerning to see. But you can also see the challenge the Home Office faces when trying to deport a convicted rapist to Italy. You know, Italy, safe, democratic, member of the EU, was blocked this week on human rights grounds. So there's a real need to look at the law ultimately, and the government's going to have to make some quite brave decisions and look at changing things, particularly the ECHR, to ensure people are kept safe.
Kevin, everybody sensible knows that culture makes a huge difference to behaviour. I mean, we even joke about fellow Europeans, you know, differences between French culture and German culture. We know that the culture that you're brought up in as a child, the kind of values that are imbibed to you when you're young, make a difference your whole life and influence your behaviour. But why are those on the left so reluctant to admit that people from cultures that have these backward attitudes towards women would suddenly change their behaviour and their thoughts and their worldview as soon as they land on this shore? I mean, everybody knows that isn't true, and yet they continue to maintain that it's only a few people that do this, or we can re-educate people. How can they continue to get away with this?
Well, indeed, sometimes, you know, the facts that don't fit with political theories, people don't want to accept. So it was interesting, for example, we talk about Wethersfield today, but look at, for example, Crowborough, where, you know, the deputy of the Green Party, who'd been all very keen to hang out the flags and say refugees are welcome here, didn't quite say that when a lot of them turned up in her own patch. So this is where people often don't want to accept the, but also we've seen the resistance officially as well to putting out the statistics by nationality. And also, you know, we shouldn't tar all people who come to this country with the same brush. I think it's Japanese citizens who actually have a much lower crime rate than UK nationals here in the UK. And ditto actually abroad. I think Finland, when they published theirs, UK citizens were much less likely to commit crimes than the domestic population. So there are issues there. There are facts that are being clear. But ultimately, this all comes back to there needs to be a clear strategy to deal with the boats. And that's why it's interesting to hear Labour now starting to trail the idea they might return to a Rwanda-style solution.
Right. Kevin, on that document, just before we let you go, in your view, do you think it would have had to have been signed off by a minister?
I'd be very surprised if it wasn't signed off by a minister, or at least someone very senior, just who works with one. You know, I just, you know, because of how sensitive the comms are in this area, it's the sort of thing I was used to take quite an interest in, because, you know, I knew if I didn't, Andrew, you know, you could find it on the front page of a newspaper. So I would be very surprised if it wasn't signed off, at least at some level, by a minister, either in the Home Office or, for example, in the Cabinet Office.
Interesting. That's what we should push to find out who signed it off. Kevin Foster, very good to talk to you, the former Immigration Minister. Our Home Office spokesman said...
We expect everyone who comes to the UK to abide by our laws. If they do not, they will face consequences, including the refusal of their asylum claim and removal from the UK. Returns of failed asylum seekers have reached their highest levels since 2010 under this government. Of course, the problem is, though, Andrew, that there are many countries in the world where you can't return asylum seekers to, which is potentially why Shabana is looking at a third country to deport.
And as Kevin Foster just pointed out, they were trying to deport them to Italy this week and failed on human rights grounds. Italy, a civilised part of the European Union. Astonishing.
Absolutely extraordinary. And the vast majority of returns have not been involuntary.
The human rights lobby has become so powerful in this country, not least because the last Prime Minister was a human rights blooming lawyer, and so was his Attorney General. There's a lot that needs unpicking. It's become deeply embedded now, and it's going to be a problem to unpick it. Now, moving on, Wethersfield Migrant Centre was meant to close next year, but guess what? It's now staying open until 2029, with capacity set to rise to more than 1,200.
Well, GB News reporter Isabel Fekulak joins us now from Weatherfield. Isabel, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us about the local reaction to the ongoing situation with migrants.
Well, good morning to you both. Locals here have growing concerns over the asylum housing in Wethersfield. I'm here in Braintree, the nearby town where the asylum seekers come to. They get buses into this town, and locals here saying that it's also affecting businesses. I'm here at Braintree Butchers, joined by Michael, who works here. Michael, tell me, how is this affecting your business?
They affect everyone's business, not just mine. Since we opened like 6 months, we get like every Thursday a lot of people coming walking around, and no one coming out. So they affect our business really badly. So we don't really make money in the moment because the people walking around and other people like scared. So that's it really.
So you've seen a kind of noticeable difference since the...
Yes, the last 6 months, yeah, completely different. Every Thursday, basically.
And now until 2029, the use of this asylum accommodation. I mean, so can't see this kind of improving?
No, really, no, they can't prove it. It's still the same, nothing changed really. So I can't do nothing about it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on to speak to us. I'm also going to get some local reaction here. I'm joined by a resident. If you just come into shot here, so you're from Essex. You come down here because of your local concerns. Firstly, I just want to get your reaction to the news that asylum seekers in the UK are being handed out these booklets in which they receive information about how having sex with a child is illegal and the fact that women are equal under the law here in the UK. What's your reaction to that?
I can't believe it's actually being done. It's absolutely insane. If you've got to tell someone how to act around children and women, then they just shouldn't be here in the first place.
And what's the feeling in the community here? We've been chatting to some residents this morning who feel scared.
Well, if you come in any other day of the week, this town is hustling, bustling, there's people everywhere. On a Thursday when they have the Care for Calais event, the town's pretty much empty because everyone knows there's going to be busload and busload of people coming in, walking around. They're in the betting shops, they just flood the town, and people are scared to be about.
And that's something that now could continue. The Home Office have said that this site could be used until 2029. They're expanding in terms of the amount of people there to 1,245 men. I mean, what do you make of this? The community here have told me this morning that they don't feel like they have been consulted.
I don't think anyone's been consulted. No one gets told nothing. Everyone just gets told what's going to happen. No one gets asked if they would like that to happen. And it just gets sprung upon you, and no one has any choice in the matter. Like, you'll be here some days and there'll be kids all around. Then on a Thursday, there's just none. There's none at all, because everyone's petrified of what's going to happen.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on. Now, of course, the Home Office have said that the use of these military sites to house asylum seekers is, of course, in a wider effort to crack down on the use of asylum hotels to save the taxpayer money, and, of course, that these booklets will give them information as they come from different cultures and teach us of the people of the law in the UK. Here in Wethersfield, in Braintree, the town nearby, been chatting to lots of residents, lots of people who have strong concerns over these plans and the expansion of the site. We'll be hearing more from them throughout the day.
Isabel, thank you, Lax. Thank you so much for that report this morning.
This just the government have got such a problem here because they're going to close these migrant hotels. Where do they put them?
Yeah, that's right. And increasingly, it seems that they should be detained, at least until we have good information about individuals who
and
are
now
here.
this wretched document's been published. People say, we don't want them here.
Yeah.
Under any
Absolutely.
circumstances.
And opposition is only going to grow. And at the moment, the law does not allow us to detain people unless they're going to be imminently deported.
Yeah.
So is this Labour government going to end up being the one that withdraws from the ECHR? That would be a surprise.
Well, that would split the Labour government down the middle.
Indeed.
Really would. No.
Well, time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win £60,000 and a real gold bar. You have to hurry up, though, because lines close tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Here's what you need to do.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes. You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner and join our exclusive list of giveaway champions. First of all, we want to give you a ton of tax-free cash. £60,000 in tax-free cash that you could use however you like. Treat your family, treat your friends, or treat yourself to a luxury 5-star holiday somewhere like here, all is Santi by Domes Resorts. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on Friday.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, good luck with that. Don't forget, 4 p.m. tomorrow is the deadline.
Yeah, good luck with it. Now, Harry and Meghan, afraid to say they're coming back to Britain in a matter of days. Is this the start of the royal rift being healed?
Well, we'll be going through that and lots more with Carol Malone, who... do you think she'll welcome them back with open arms? I don't think so. And Nigel Nelson
will not be welcomed back with open arms. I think she and I are on the same hymn sheet on this, but I suspect Nigel will be all wishy-washy liberal about it, because he often is.
Well, you'll get your right to reply in a minute, Nigel. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. It's 26 minutes past 10. You're watching Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Girls lead over boys at the top GCSE grades as narrowed to its smallest on record.
GB News' national reporter Sophie Reaper joins us from the Bewley Hill Academy in Salford. Good morning, Sophie. Are there lots of great results to congratulate there?
Absolutely. Good morning to you both. You can see here behind me that things are now getting really quite quiet here at the Buell Hill Academy in Salford. The last couple of students making their way in, perhaps those who wanted a bit more relying this morning, they're making their way in to get the results. But we have seen some absolutely phenomenal results. And across the country, we've seen that top grades are up, but the pass grades, so that is a 4, or if you're old like me, it's a grade C, the equivalent of that. So that's down nationally. But here at the Buell Hill Academy, their average pass is up by 9%. So it's been a phenomenal year for the pupils here. And of course, we've been able to speak to them, some of them this morning, opening their results live on air with us. And then we got a chance to speak to some of them once they'd had a chance to take in the results, to drink it in and to really understand how they were feeling about it. So just take a listen to this. How are you feeling?
I just can't believe it. Like, I didn't.
Surprised?
Yeah. I just didn't think I'd get all these grades, but I did.
And is that what you needed to now go on and do what you need to do?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I'm going to Pendleton and I'm going to do criminology, psychology and film.
Very interesting. Not just your average maths and science, very interesting.
I think I've done quite good. I'm not happy with all of them, but I am happy. I really I actually put in the effort and I've got what I really wanted, most of my 7 to 9s, and I am quite happy about it. So.
Sounds like you've done phenomenally well. So have you got everything you need to now go on to do what you wanted to study? That's the most important part.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Happy I could have done better, but yeah, this is what I need, so not really bothered, yeah.
So what are you going to go on to do now? You've got those results. Where's this going to take you?
Where's this going to take me? So today I have an online enrollment at Loretto. The courses I'm going to be doing are biochem and psychology.
I think I have to say I do associate myself with that young girl in the middle then who said she's done really well, but she's still not that. She's not happy with all of them. That's exactly what I was like back in the day for my GCSE results day. Never happy. I wish I could be more like the young lad who said he's got what he needs, so he's not bothered. That's such a great way to approach things, isn't it? But I have to say we've had the most amazing morning here at the Buell Hill Academy. The staff have been really welcoming, and it's been so incredible to see those students reap the rewards of all their hard work, and to see the parents be so proud of their children, to see how well they've done, to now take those next steps into their future, onto college, sixth forms, apprenticeships, whatever it might be. They've done so well, and it's just been such a brilliant morning.
Sophie, thank you so much for that report, and congratulations to everybody who's getting their results today.
Of course, Malone, Nigel Nelson and I can't have no recollection of our O-level results because it was so long ago.
Oh, I can
Was the arc around?
They weren't that great.
You must be thrilled, Karen Malone. They're back. They're coming back.
Yes.
Your column in the Daily Express is going to be overflowing.
When I opened the papers today, I thought, right, I don't have to think what I'm writing for my column lead tomorrow because that's going to take most of my page. But the thing is, I kind of knew they were going to come back. That's what all this... Harry never does anything that's for anyone else. So these visits back to England the past 12 months, that's what it's been about. It's about sussing out how he's going to get back here. Now, of course I can know. What else are they going to do now? They're a busted flush in the US. Yeah. They are now a joke. They are seen as grifters. They are seen as people not to be taken seriously. And all their big money contracts have dried up. Spotify, even the Netflix one, they've got a bit of a deal on Netflix, but it's not huge. And remember, they live in a £14.5 million mansion in one of the most expensive towns in America, so they really can't afford to keep that lifestyle with no money coming in. So, of course, he's going to come back here. I can't imagine she wants to come back, not for a nanny.
No.
But the thing is, I'm sure she's pragmatic, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were nigh on bankrupt, the pair of them, because he's had 2 lots of court cases, 2 lots of multi-million-pound court cases. Yeah. And he's not making any money. There's been rumours around for the past year that he's fed up with California. He's got nothing to do there. What does he do? He kicks around a big garden all day. He does nothing. So he wants to come back here. He misses this life. But can you imagine what's going to happen? Because she's going to come back. And she won't have changed. In fact, if anything, she's going to be more entitled and more, what's the word? She's going to be wanting more. So she's not going to be kept under control by the royals. And they are going to exploit their royal status here to do business. There is no question about that. Now, remember what's going to happen, and also think about what's going to happen with Wales. He doesn't want to make it up, and he's going to be king.
Well,
in a few years.
All this is speculation. The only thing we know is that they're coming back and their children have places at school.
Every major newspaper is leading on this.
Unpopular as they may be, I think the statement, Harry never does anything except for himself. I mean, he was in the army for some time. Yeah. He started numerous charities. The Invictus Games has been extremely popular.
And he's still doing military, and even though he's lost all his military titles...
Are you pleased they're coming back?
Well, I find the whole thing really odd. I mean, the idea that this must have taken some planning.
Yes.
The idea that that Harry only told his father on Sunday, it seems bizarre. That obviously they must have a place to live. They've got a school for the kids. So, and there's also the question of security. I mean, Harry's been banging on about not bringing the family here because he's worried about his security. Well, what's happened about that?
Well, if that status has changed and the government is providing Home Office security for them, we are entitled to be told, because it
yes, I would have thought we pay for
it. He can't possibly have fixed that because he didn't tell his dad he was coming when he was here 3 weeks ago. He can't have had talks with Ravik between then and now because they wouldn't take his call. But it wasn't too long ago that the quote was, I can't see a world in which I bring my wife and children back to the UK. Now, that was because he thought it was dangerous. Well, if he thought it was dangerous then, he must think it's dangerous now, and yet he can still bring his family into this country. So I'd like to know what's happened. And Ravik won't have had time to make arrangements. And why would they? The deal was, if you're not a working royal, you do not get 24-hour protection. No. So he's not going to have the thing that he spent millions taking them to court on. He's not going to have it. So what's changed?
Well, what Ravik says is they'll do it on a case-by-case basis, but that was based on the fact he was in America.
Yeah.
And so the case-by-case was actually on a visit, not to be living here permanently.
No, but the
if
deal
he's not a
was...
working royal, no money.
Yes, but there must be lots of people who are private citizens, like celebrities and things like that, who are nevertheless at risk despite not being in public service. They will get security.
Yes, I mean, it's a risk assessment for whoever you are.
Yeah. It depends on the threat, doesn't it? So if somebody was a prominent person but in private life and was a target of a particular threat that the police received intelligence of, you would get protection.
Well, Salman Rushdie is one of those famous cases of what they lost was their automatic reaction.
We've got a loser Prince Andrew here, clicking his heels, doing nothing, living at the expense of the king, and now Harry coming back.
I wonder what this private house they're going to live in. I suspect that Charles will have to help them. I suspect he'll have to pitch in and help.
But they must have secured the house already without him knowing, because they only told him on Sunday.
They're just saying it's a private house. We don't know if it's a friend's house. It could be a friend's house. They're staying in for now. But the bottom line here is, you know, the whole point is they're not going to be working rods. They're going to be doing their own business things. Now, the Queen said quite clearly, you can't be half in and half out here. So, but what they're going to do is they're going to piggyback their royal status here that will invigorate their business ventures. People are going to want to take them on here to do work, whatever, because of their royal connections. And remember, Charles has already said they would be included in some family events like Sandringham or whatever. So all of that will invigorate their royal status.
Well, Tom Bower said earlier, Nigel, I don't know if you heard him, who wrote a very good book on Harry and Meghan. He said he thought it was inconceivable they would join the royal walk to church at Sandringham at Christmas. Harry and Meghan.
On the basis...
Because William and Kate will be there too with their children, and the rift there is not fixed.
There's the rift, and also that is an official event, and they're no longer officially royals. Right. Yeah, so no, they won't do that.
And of course, they did let Fergie join it a few years ago, and I think in hindsight that was a terrible mistake.
Yes, but the other thing is what Harry will argue. He is now half in, and half out.
Put himself there. I just think I think there's trouble ahead. William is not ready to forgive them yet. Imagine how this is going to be if they start being demanding, causing trouble, turning up at things. Wills is not going to have that, you know. And Meghan said something in a piece this week from America, and she said, you know, she's quite angry that Harry is having what she sees to be doing is making all the running, making the apology, and she's saying it has to be reciprocal. What does the royal family have to apologise for? You know, what have they done wrong in all of this?
We're going to have to leave it there. And who knows, it might be the start of a beautiful...
Miriam.
I don't think so. And I think you can imagine what Malone's going to be writing in a Daily Express this week. Now, still ahead, this morning we're going to be listening to Reform UK sweller Braverman talking about banning foreign loans for foreign students. But I suspect she'll be talking about this extraordinary document from the Home Office saying to migrants, if you have sex with somebody without their consent, it's called rape and it's serious, and you could go to prison. Why doesn't it say you will go to prison if you rape someone? Well, outrageous.
It is. Well, that's all coming up on Britain's Newsroom after the break.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. A day of sunshine and showers today. Some of them will be heavy, the risk of hail and thunder as well, some local travel disruption. A Met Office warning for those thunderstorms in place for parts of England and Wales as heavy showers push southwards. Not everywhere will see the showers. There will be some sunny spells in between, a northerly breeze behind this band of showery rain as well, setting in, feeling quite cool across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. The mid-teens here. In the best of the sunshine, perhaps 22 or 23 Celsius across southern parts of England, around 20 Celsius there across southern Wales as well. Those showers continuing to push southwards into the evening time and turning quite chilly as well. So looking at the details across northern Scotland, a cloudy end to the day, some showery outbreaks of rain, perhaps 1 or 2 glimmers of sunshine, showers across southern Scotland into Northern Ireland as well, but not quite as heavy compared to during the afternoon. Heavy showers though for England and Wales to end the day, and some rumbles of thunder still possible as well. Temperatures around 18 Celsius there around 7 or 8 p.m. However, those showers should start to fade away as we head through the latter part of the day into the early hours. Still some coastal showers, but inland we'll see plenty of clear skies developing, and that will allow for quite a chilly night. Temperatures, towns and cities just about holding in double figures, but in the countryside 5 or 6 degrees in 1 or 2 spots. But it does mean there'll be more sunny spells around tomorrow morning, but some showers around coastal areas. 1 or 2 of these could be heavy at times too, and they may just develop a little further inland as we move through into the afternoon. But that northerly breeze remains, so temperatures around, if not a little below average for the time of year. We haven't seen that for quite some time. Highs around 21 or 22 Celsius towards southern England. Elsewhere, the mid to high teens. See you soon.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M27 is closed at Junction 2 in Romsey after a fire. The M25 anti-clockwise is shut between junctions 13 and 11. The M1 is closed between junctions 9 and 11A in Luton. The M40 southbound is shut between junctions 10 and 9 in Bicester. The A14 is closed between junctions 2 and 8 in Beaconsfield. In Scotland, the M74 northbound has queuing and lane restrictions between Junction 1 in Kingston E and Junction 1A at Polmadie Road. And on the trains, Greater Anglia has major disruption between Shenfield and Southend Victoria. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back. It's 21 minutes to 11. You're watching Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Well, that ongoing court case in America involves the social media giant Meta, which has been accused by parents of deliberately, engineering its Facebook and Instagram platforms to be addictive to children. And that trial is ongoing, involving 29 different states.
Well, the GB News presenter Tom Harwood has the latest from Washington.
This week, there began a federal trial in the United States that could determine the future of the internet as we know it. It could change the way that social media looks, feels, and interacts with all of us. 29 individual states of the United States have brought action against Meta. Now, Meta is the parent company of the websites like Instagram and Facebook that are some of the most popular social media websites in the country. They claim that Meta is creating dangerously addictive features on its platforms, and that this is harming particularly children. The interesting thing about this case is it lists specific grievances against the company, specific elements that they think make this product harmful and addictive. Those include infinite scroll, the idea that you can continue on scrolling forever and ever and there is no end to your timeline on social media. the autoplay feature, where videos will automatically play on your timeline without you clicking the play button yourself. Likes, or what they describe as quantified feedback, the idea that you can see how many people are liking your content online. The states allege that this could be psychologically damaging, particularly to children. Also, disappearing content. They say that that is harmful, as is recommendations based on variable rewards. What's that in plain English? Variable rewards tap in to a sort of feature of the brain where dopamine really likes something. Not if you get it all the time, but if you get it sometimes. You get that dopamine hit in your brain. If, for instance, not every single time you go to your timeline you see something you love, but maybe if you scroll a little bit further and you refresh a few more times and you come back, then you see something you love. They say that this could create addictive behavior. The problem is that so many of these features are just key features of the internet as we know it, key features of how social media works. Is this a case that could actually attempt to bring down social media? Well, the case starts this week and will continue for some time to come. Meta, of course, warns that cases like these will be harmful to consumers because consumers benefit from the benefits of social media. This is not a black and white story, and yet in this court case, two sides will argue vociferously on either side. We'll be following it all, of course, here live from Washington, D.C. And we'll see if the big man in the White House behind me decides to stick his oar in too.
Tom, thank you very much. A massive case.
Well, and of course he got very scratchy with Britain over the idea that we may whack taxes on additional taxes on companies like Meta, absolutely. Because of course they're huge revenue earners in the United States.
Absolutely. Well, let's speak now to media lawyer Jonathan Coad. Jonathan, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining Britain's Newsroom. Now, this is a massive case with huge implications, not just in America, but around the world, and particularly in the UK, where we're so reliant on American tech firms like this. How do you think this is going to play out? Do you think this will be settled satisfactorily, or do you think it's just going to go on and on and on?
Well, it concerns a fundamental problem, Miriam, and that is the fundamental problem between the importance of free speech, and of course Meta is Facebook, Instagram is free speech in a sense for all of us. So it's not just the media; it's the individual's source of means of free speech, and as against that, the importance of protecting particular children. Now, would you allow me just to add to that excellent package? Because I did some research before coming on. And before this, there was a similar claim brought by the New Mexico government against Meta in very similar terms. And what was really interesting about that, now, as your readers know, there's a process called disclosure, and both sides have to disclose documents. And Meta had to disclose 2 million documents about this. And this is what was in Meta's own documents. The documents said that Meta's own research showed that like counts drove social comparison or the mental act of marking one's self-worth against images of someone else. And according to Meta's own research, that social comparison driven by Instagram was linked to increased loneliness, worse body image, and negative mood or effect. So we're talking about, I mean, I've got 2 kids who've been through the social media age. So we're talking about really serious issues for children here. And we in the UK, you probably also know, we have the Online Safety Act, which to some extent covers the same ground as intended to protect children. Meta, however, again, as your excellent package made clear, this is absolutely fundamental. I mean, the likes have been on Facebook since day one. And if this claim succeeds and Meta's hit with vast, huge fines, which essentially force it to change its business model, then that is something which is going to be catastrophic to their profits. And so they're going to have to fight it very hard.
But Jonathan, you talk about these platforms as being free speech, and to some extent they really have been. They are the platform through which most of us express ourselves and receive information, but they are also commercial entities. It's not like going to Hyde Park Corner and saying your piece in a public space that no one controls. What we see on these platforms is very, very tightly controlled and in the interest, at the end of the day, of the shareholders and the owners. Do you think it's a mistake to confuse Facebook, X, etc. with free speech? Should we not be a bit less naive about what the motivations that these companies have actually are?
Well, I'm not suggesting that there isn't anything other than a commercial motivation. I'm not suggesting that for a minute. And if you'll forgive me, you are a free speech organisation producing, if I may say so, excellent content, but you're also a profit-making media company. So it's a little bit difficult for GB News to point the finger at Meta when you're a commercial company as well, and so it has to be.
Yes, but I suppose the difference. Sorry to interrupt, but I suppose the difference, Jonathan, is that if you tune into GB News, you see what everybody else sees. This is the offer. You can like it or leave it. If you sign up to Instagram, for example, and you hover over a picture of Meghan Markle today, for the next 20 days, you are going to be fed pictures of Meghan Markle in a bespoke way. The company is taking your data and feeding you more of what you like to grab your attention. That doesn't happen on linear TV, even if we'd like it to.
I'm sorry, I disagree with your analogy, Miriam. Meta essentially carries content. Broadcasters, the linear TV carries content. We make a choice every day. Shall we watch GB News? Should we watch BBC News, Sky, whatever? So we're still making a choice. We make a choice on the basis of whether we like the content or not. So I respectfully disagree with your analogy. I think it's a false analogy. Meta is a platform. Television, linear television is a platform. We take in the content that we want on both.
OK, very interesting.
Really is
Jonathan,
interesting. Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us this morning.
I'm pretty fascinated to see how this case is resolved, because if Meta lose, there's talk of fines of up to £1 trillion.
It will make it them unable to do business.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, coming up next, should you be sacked for pulling a sickie? Well, the workplace expert ACAS has revealed the worst staff behaviours reported by employers.
They won't find me in there because I don't do sickies, do you?
About eating biscuits while broadcasting.
Has been known. But first, of course, if you want some holiday sun, here's the forecast of some of our top European destinations.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there. We continue to see heavy rain across parts of the Alps over the next 24 hours. Plenty of hot sunshine across Greece. Sunshine continues across parts of Spain and Portugal. 1 or 2 showers there on Friday across Madeira, but plenty of blue skies across Portugal into Spain. Just 1 or 2 showers possible, but that heavy rain continues across parts of the Dolomites and the Alps, but plenty of sunshine in Greece. Athens there, 35 Celsius. And for most, it remains sunny through the weekend and into the next week too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I remember it vividly, the first dogfight over Biggin Hill, over New Addington. And this particular morning, the war started. My mother had asked me to go and get her a pint of beer from she wasn't a drunkard or anything, but she liked to drink on a Sunday morning. So she said, oh, son, she said, go down and get me a bottle of beer, will you? I mean, all was quiet in the Western Front. So I said, yes, Mum. So I'm going down the road now. I hadn't gone 1/4 mile, and all of a sudden there's this confusion, all this noise and that, zooming and banging. I thought, what on earth's that? And I looked up, and there they were, dogfighting over New Addington.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Joining us now is Head of Advocacy at Big Brother Watch, Jack Colson. Jack, interested to know your view on this. You know, why shouldn't I be able to wear my Meta glasses around?
Well, certainly there are times and places where Meta glasses might be of use, particularly for those with visual impairments. The technology really could be a breakthrough, but we see these as the tip of an iceberg. Meta's glasses have already been potentially linked to facial recognition technology, which really would be a stalker's charter. And we are operating in an environment where perpetrators of harassment feel safe to use this technology, when really it's the public who ought to feel safe. So the government ultimately are going to have to explore restrictions on this kind of technology, and we're seeing civil society push back.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I have a real treat for you, because I have found women. Yes, and these women are badly behaved in Benidorm, and they've been here for, how long have you been here?
Since Tuesday. Yeah, just a week this time. Normally we do 2 weeks, but just a week this time.
And whereabouts in the UK are you from?
From Surrey. Surrey. Manchester. Salford. Doncaster.
Quite the mix, I would say. Are you getting ready to go into the Strip?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, why not? It's iconic. We do culture first and then the Strip. That's the right way round, right?
If you say so. Will you be out on the Strip?
Most definitely, yet again.
And what's so attractive about it?
The Strip or the culture?
The Strip.
What am I allowed to say on TV?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Eight minutes to 11, you're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom.
Well, research from ACAS, which is the Conciliation Service, shows a growing number of workers are facing disciplinary action for serious misconduct, including theft, bullying and taking sick leave when they're actually not genuinely ill. So we're asking, are disciplinary procedures tough enough?
Well, businessman Mike Green joins us now. Mike, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on GB News. The list of some of these behaviours is quite extraordinary. I mean, not turning up to work, theft or stealing from work. I think many of our viewers would think that they were almost instantly sackable offences, but that's not the case, is it?
It's not, but my current belief is that it should be. To me, taking a sick day when you're not sick is the same as theft. You know, we've got to look at the fact that they are stealing from those companies. And, you know, I was looking at some statistics ahead of the call. We are the only G7 country where sick days are higher than they were pre-COVID. 800,000 people are now on long-term sick, and we're losing 149 million sick days a year. Now, 95% of UK businesses have less than 10 employees. When one person goes sick, that's not just one person off. That's 10% of the workforce affecting that business.
And Mike, is this, dare I say it, I don't want to be disrespectful to people who've got a genuine problem, is this because of the dread rise in so-called mental health and anxiety, do you think, that's fueling this massive increase in people not going to work?
Yeah, it breaks my heart. I support a lot of businesses all the time, and what I see is them saying, I can't get the right people, they're not committed, and so on. People going sick because they got a sore throat, a bad leg. Many of those things do not stop them from doing their job, but they feel entitled, and it is entitled, to take the day off. This is damaging the UK, it's damaging business, and then these people expect to keep their job when they're doing it. They feel it's almost a Robin Hood situation where, oh, they can afford it, it won't hurt, it does hurt, it is hurting. And these
but Mike, how do you prove
that?
But how do you prove, Mike, that they are what we used to say when I was growing up, swinging the lead?
Yeah, so I had a business a few years ago where I tracked this. 42% of sickness was on a Monday. Now, in reality, we don't get sick on one day of the week. It should be about 15, 16% per day. 42%. They obviously had a heavy weekend, a tired weekend, or they just couldn't be I was going to swear, bothered to come in on the Monday morning. It is not real. Now, when I was younger, I'm 60 now, but when I was younger, you had to have a sick note. You had to have the doctor to say that you were off ill, to prove that you were off ill. Now, obviously, we want trust, and there are great people who do a great job and never go sick. But there are a rotten core that are feeling entitled to take it as an entitlement. In the UK, it's just under 10 days, 2 working weeks that they take as sick. And in the public sector, that's 50% higher. You know, people are taking 6 weeks holiday, another 2 or 3 weeks sick. It is killing UK credibility, UK profitability, and our ability to compete in the world.
I completely agree. And I think we have also trivialised it. We saw Jess Phillips, the former safeguarding minister, saying she pulled a sickie so that she didn't have to go to the House of Commons and defend Peter Mandelson. I mean, that's setting a terrible example.
Well, they almost wear that with a badge of honour. Oh, yeah, I'm going to pull a sickie. I mean, that has become a common word. People should be ashamed. They are stealing from companies. And they need to understand that 94.3%, 5.4 million businesses have less than 10 employees. Those companies, the employees are earning more than the owners. The employees are getting holiday, the owners aren't. The employees are getting 6 days, the owners aren't. That's theft. That's not just pulling a sickie. That's hurting someone who's giving them a job.
Absolutely. Mike Green, businessman, thank you so much for putting us straight on that. And up next, we're going to bring you some of the shocking details in that Home Office booklet. It's being handed out to migrants. Don't miss it. It tells them, if you specifically needed to be told this, if you've had sex with somebody without their consent, it's rape. You could go to prison. Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes. You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner. First of all, we want to give you £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
It is 11 o'clock on Thursday, the 20th of August. We are live across the United Kingdom, Britain's newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Well, let's take you back to 2022 when Harry and Meghan said this.
Had we not gone out when we did,
our security was being pulled. Everyone in the world knew where we were.
I said that we need to get out of here.
Well, now the Sussexes are coming back to Britain after 6 years ago since they left for California. Well, despite only last year, Harry's saying that he couldn't see a world where he'd return with his family.
I would love reconciliation with my family.
The question is, what exactly has changed? Are taxpayers now funding their security, or has Harry backed down with that demand? Huge questions as well as to the brothers' lack of reconciliation. Princes William and Harry still not on speaking terms.
And shockingly, the Home Office is handing illegal migrants a booklet telling them not to rape women, beat them up or mutilate their genitals. This comes now, breaking news, 4 men to appear before magistrates charged with committing serious sexual offences, including rape against teenage girls in Kirklees between 1998 and 2000.
So our performance on removals from the country has gone up very significantly. It's going in the right direction.
And more than 80,000 foreign criminals have been sent home in 2 years as deportations hit a decade high. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood considers introducing a Rwanda-style plan.
War on waste, fines for fly tippers are rocketing from £300 to £5,000, and police are to be given powers to seize their cash, cars and homes. But what about the waste?
And any moment now, Reform UK's Suella Braverman sets out her ideas about how to scrap loans for foreign students. Unless, Andrew, she may change the topic in response to today's news.
She certainly should.
Andrew, we're going to go now to Westminster because Suella Braverman and Richard Tice have taken to the stage.
But it actually goes to the heart of the future that young people take at that crucial age of 16 to 18. And I remember my first job was in the world of construction. Yes, I was digging trenches with a groundworks contractor in about 1983, I think it was. And it was to the heart of me. My background is construction, so talking about apprenticeships, talking about trades in a business that has done so well, that has grown so successfully, goes absolutely to sort of the heart of who I am, who we are as a political party. And there is nothing more important than ensuring that young people have the full range of options, and apprenticeships are critical. Absolutely critical to that. Back in the 80s, we used to call it sort of YTS, youth training schemes, and it was the heart of businesses, of communities and families. And I just feel, in a sense, that we've slightly lost our way, and that's why what we're announcing today is so critically important. And you'll hear a lot from politicians about young people, about apprenticeships, but the evidence is truly, truly shocking about what's happened in the last 10 to 15 years. And the really key statistic that shocks me is that the number of apprenticeships aged between 16 and 18 has fallen by about a half, from about 40% to around 20% in the last 7 to 8 years. That is actually nothing short of a scandal, because it's literally where apprenticeships should start. In particular, in trades and skills, what they call intermediate apprenticeships, again, that percentage has collapsed. That's exactly the wrong place and space of where it should be. So what we're announcing today is the reverse of that. It is a clear sign to everybody that not only must we make work pay. Earlier this week, we talked about making welfare work, but actually work is a great thing. Skills are a great thing. Trades are a great thing. It was wonderful meeting some of the apprenticeships that have been working in Kevin McLaughlin's firm here this morning. And so I think everybody should be under no doubt whatsoever. We are 120% focused on making sure we've got the right apprenticeship schemes, the right opportunities for young people. Because so often, actually, many youngsters, they get their GCSE results and they say, do you know what, actually, maths in a classroom's not for me. What are the other options out there? And the options of going to work in a trade as an apprenticeship is a fantastic one. And of course, in the world of AI, actually, it's a long time before AI and robots go onto construction sites, painting, decorating, plumbing, bricklaying, and the like. That's why this really is the very heart. So, with no further ado, delighted to welcome the boss, the founder of McLaughlin Painting and Decorating, Kevin McLaughlin. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm just going to talk about my life story. I left school at 15. I was the last year that could leave at 15, 4 years. How it was, I didn't want to stay at school. I didn't like school. I know now I could have done well at school, but it wasn't for me. I've only had 2 jobs in my life. I then went into an apprenticeship. It took me 4 years, 2 years craft, 2 years advanced craft. I then worked for a while, and in 1987 I started my business. We've gone from nothing to a company that works around the country, delivering hotels, stadiums, even interior design work, a complete mix of everything. And no matter where you go in life now, you look at anything, it's painted. So there's always going to be work. I started my own business in 1987. The workforce 2, then 4, then 6. And after about 3 or 4 years, I realised there's an age gap developing here. The youngest person is 27, 28. So I started my apprenticeship scheme based upon apprentices my apprenticeship. Since then, we've had apprentices every year, on average 3 to 5 a year. Totally successful, up until, funny enough, to 7 years ago that you talk about. And then it all started to go wrong. The apprentices wasn't achieving. They were leaving school without the correct qualifications, and the qualification you need is basically literacy and numeracy. And that is a real effect on business, because the government then put a need onto companies.
So we're leaving the Reform press conference. I must say, we've got our panel with us, Nigel Nelson and Karen Malone. I'm pretty staggered they didn't rip up this talk about... they can talk about a push for apprenticeships anytime they like. This document, frankly, is a scandal. Understanding Behaviours and Expectations in the UK, released this morning, it's in the papers this morning, a guide for asylum seekers. Malone, it's astonishing. I mean, this will be in your... Talk about Harry and Meghan will be in your column, so will this. In the UK, the law is clear and strict. Consent is needed. If you have sex with someone without their consent, this is called rape. Rape is a serious crime. So it's having to spell this out in writing to these people.
This is the government's way of protecting women and girls in this country.
Do you think they'll feel very secure now?
Yeah, and I think the migrants won't take a blind bit of notice of it. But the thing is, I suppose we should be grateful that at least they're acknowledging the fact that these vile crimes are happening in this country. Up until recently, they've been trying to hide the numbers and the stats involved in migrant sexual crimes. So at least and this pamphlet is proof positive that it's a problem.
Yeah.
But it's, the fact that you have to tell a man from any country, you don't rape women when you come to this country, and don't beat up your relatives, and
or
don't
have
beat
sex
up
with
your wife.
children.
It shows they're culturally unsuited to this country, and yet we allow them to stay. What they should be saying in this booklet, which is what they don't say. They say don't do, but what they don't say is if you do it, you'll be thrown in jail and then you'll be deported. They're not saying that because we know that's not going to happen. We know that when they rape and abuse women, we know that they will, they'll get charged or something, they'll go to prison, but they're going to be allowed to stay here, whatever they do. So to me, this is just a waste of paper, and no migrant who is intent on having sex with a woman is going to read that booklet and say, I'm not going to do that now, actually.
Nigel, that's a good point, isn't it? I mean, it's all very well telling people the law of the land, but this is not a minor variation in legal expectations about driving regulations or something. We're talking about basic cultural norms which are starkly different in some parts of the world to they are here. And shouldn't we face the fact that actually people with those attitudes are either never going to be integrated into Western culture, or it's going to take an awful lot more than a 7-page booklet.
Well, I mean, let's take it by stages. First of all, I don't see anything wrong with giving people who come here, whoever they are, advice on what the law of the land is. There's very little difference between this.
So just because you support the publication of this.
Yeah, I don't see what all the fuss is about. Because on there's this sudden sort of hysteria going around that anything that actually looks like it might be helping migrants must be wrong. There's not much difference between this document and what the Foreign Office puts out for British travellers going to countries of other cultures.
I've been to many different cultures. I've been to India and America, and I've never had a Foreign Office document saying when you go there, you understand
what you get is that if you want to
Muslim countries, for example, women will be told to cover up. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, or for instance, what the Foreign Office will tell you if you go on their website, which everyone should before travelling to a country with a different culture, in Bahrain, don't do any topless sunbathing.
You have just said that anything perception of helping migrants is wrong. We're not helping migrants here. This is not about helping migrants. This is about stopping women and children being raped by them.
Absolutely, and the document clearly won't do that. What it does do is make clear what the law in Britain is. So when you say it's don't rape, what it's actually saying is how you must get consent before you have sex.
But don't you understand, Nigel, that there's tens of thousands of men from these countries coming here.
Can they read? Can they write?
Well,
can they speak English?
But the fact that the government feels they have to explain this to them means they know that they've been breaking the law routinely. They've been raping and attacking women.
We all know that. We all know that there have been incidents of rape and attacks that you're talking about. And we also know that sometimes when they get into court, they say one of the reasons for it was they didn't understand.
That's an excuse given to them by a human rights lawyer, Nigel.
I'm just saying they now don't have that excuse if they've been given the book.
Thank you. I was coming on to that sentence.
Hang on. Let's just get again. Rape is a serious crime in the UK. You could go to prison. You could. Not will.
Yeah.
You could lose your support and accommodation, and it will affect your asylum claim. Not saying you will be booted out.
No, well, they're not, because what they're doing is they're explaining the law, and that is actually what the law is, that if you are charged with rape, obviously that some people haven't gone to prison for rape. So that is a fair description of what British law is. And I just don't see why we should object to this kind of advice being handed out.
But it's not legal in any country to rape a woman, Nigel.
Well,
you shouldn't have to explain
Yes, but in some countries there is no such concept as marital rape, and I think this is what, and it wasn't here actually until
we're not talking about marital
recently.
Rape. We're talking about the kind of rape.
But it does say that is part of the document, that you can't have sex with a woman that you're married to if she doesn't consent. So it's just indicative of the stark contrast between different cultures. But Carol, the problem is whether or not this is a helpful idea or not. The point is that the government now cannot say with any credibility whatsoever that people who live near camps where people from countries like this are safe. You're clearly not.
You're clearly
if a
not
booklet
safe.
is going to be handed out like this.
And they're about to put 1,500 people in that little village. What's it called? This station did an incredible graph the other day. It showed the amount of people in that village, which amounts to this, and the amount of men going there, which is outrageous. I mean, imagine the fear of those people. But this tells me, and what's been really insidious in this country is both the government and the police have colluded in trying to hide a lot of these migrant sexual crimes. You know, when a rape is committed, they don't immediately say it's a migrant. They don't immediately say where they're from. They try to hide that because and their excuse for doing that is it'll cause civil unrest if we reveal it. Well, stuff that. And what this tells me...
Well, this document's not hiding anything.
But what this tells me is there's an...
They've only just published it.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's my point. No one's trying to hide the fact that these people come from...
But they have tried to hide... That's not what I said now.
They have. I know they have in the past, but we're trying to talk about this document and whether this document is a reasonable thing to put out.
Okay, so let me say about this. I think this is an acceptance by the government that these men are going to rape and abuse women. They've accepted that it's happening, and they're not doing anything to stop it. This is just saying you shouldn't do it. Seriously, it's not saying we will deport you, we will throw you out. Why is it not saying that?
Well, because what they're doing is explaining the law.
Oh, well, you said that now 4 times. But why aren't they saying...
The reason I'm saying it 4 times is that it's not true.
Nigel, do you think, though, that if the government has to go to this extraordinary step to not just lay out, you know, slight differences in law between our country and other countries, but actually something that's so fundamental to culture that it really cannot be explained. But doesn't it show that people who arrive from those countries should be detained when they come here illegally?
Well, hang on, no, but you're going way beyond the publication of this document. So the reason you have to set this out is because there are huge differences. In Nigeria, the age of consent is 11, for instance. In China, it's 14.
Do we want that here?
No, we don't want that here. I'm not saying that.
No, but this is clearly targeted at people who... It's not just about the legal age of consent. It's about people who have been brought up to understand that women don't have a choice about whether or not they have sex. Don't have a choice about whether or not they have any money. And those are the kind of attitudes that can't be changed with a document.
You're absolutely right, but at least you can actually lay out what the differences are. So take it away from rape. But what it also says is women in this country are allowed to work, study, travel without the permission of a man. That might come as news to an Afghan refugee. So why not just lay that out?
But why not? But why not? If the government fears this is so widespread a problem amongst these men, why are they not automatically detained?
Well, we're now in a completely different area from a document like this.
Because the government doesn't think these women are safe near these men.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think that document actually says that. It is pointing out the law. And when it comes down to detention, as you know, you cannot indefinitely detain someone in this country unless they've committed a crime. And if they enter the country to claim asylum, they have not committed a crime.
But Nigel, if these men have an innate cultural belief that it's OK to rape women, that document is not going to change that.
Well, I mean, they don't. What you're talking about there is different cultural norms, and so what the document is making clear is not that rape, that you're coming from a country where rape is fine. What the document is saying is you may be coming from a country where consent is understood differently. We are laying out exactly what consent means in this country.
It's talking to them like they're nice little children who just need a few things explained to them. They're explaining it to these people because a lot of them are predators, and they know that, which is why they're putting out this document.
Look, some of them are. Some of them are because we see them going through the courts.
Isn't it the concern? It must be a lot more than we perhaps know, Nigel, which is why they've published this.
Well, it may be, but I mean, you're speculating. I don't know. I mean, I'm going with what we can actually see in black and white, and what we see in black and white is an explanation about British law.
I think we need the minister who authorised this to come on and tell us why they authorised
absolutely.
What is the scale of the problem they're trying to deal with?
Yes, absolutely. Invite that minister.
We don't know who it is.
No, we don't know who it is. But, you know, they have hidden the figures from us about these kind of assaults for a long time now, when we need to know.
And we've seen the Home Secretary say banging on about deporting criminals. She should have been challenged about this.
Indeed. Andrew, I think the problem is that the government, on the one hand, says that they really care about violence against men and girls. They put on anti-misogyny classes for schoolboys who are just exhibiting perfectly normal behaviour. They tell men on the tube that staring at women is apparently an offence. And at the same time, they know that they're putting very dangerous men near unprotected women. I mean, words are cheap and actions speak louder than words.
And the next time they try and put some of these drivers in a small, middle-class village or town, as Andy Burnham said, there's going to be uproar because people are going to brandish this document and saying we don't want them here.
I'm sure.
Well, we need to move on. And a Home Office spokesman said, we expect everyone who comes to the UK to abide by our laws. If they do not, they will face consequences, including the refusal of their asylum claim and removal from the UK. Returns of failed asylum seekers have reached their highest level since 2010 under this government.
Now, up next, we'll talk about the war on waste. Fines for fly tippers are skyrocketing from £300 to £5,000, and police are going to be given powers to seize the cash cards in our homes. People want to know, what about the waste? What's going to happen to the waste?
And will Suella Braverman mention the migrant rape guide rather than Britain's NEET crisis as she's speaking live in London? We'll be going through that and more with our panel. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo, every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Time is 11:22. Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom with Andrew and Miriam.
Well, it's time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win £60,000, a real gold bar, but lines close at 4 p.m. tomorrow, so here's what you need to do.
Get on with it.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes. You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner and join our exclusive list of giveaway champions. First of all, we want to give you a ton of tax-free cash. £60,000 in tax-free cash that you could use however you like. Treat your family, treat your friends, or treat yourself to a luxury 5-star holiday somewhere like here, all as Santi by Domes Resorts. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on Friday.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, we're now joined by GB News senior political commentator Nigel Nelson and journalist and broadcaster Carol Malone in the studio. Now, Nigel, I think on any other day, this document from the Home Office for asylum seekers would have been major news, but we also have the major news about Harry and Meghan returning home.
We do indeed. I am surprised. I think Carol said earlier on that she wasn't surprised they finally came back here. I'm surprised because of everything they've said. They've said all the way through they're not coming back. Harry has cited concerns about security. We don't know if that's been resolved. It's bizarre that the whole thing has happened so quickly in the sense that the King wasn't even told until Sunday. So at the moment, it's one of those sort of stories I'd like to know more about because this must have been in gestation for months.
You'd have thought so. And one of the things Harry said when he left Malone was that the British media were appalling, always intruding.
We were awful and appalling. And
the first we knew about the British media talked about is this morning, and they're back in a week.
And they briefed the media on that as well. So they don't hate it that much. But I can just see such trouble ahead.
Yeah.
I think William is already angry at what he sees as Charles bending over backwards to accommodate Harry. Do you remember when he came here last time?
Yeah.
There was the big fuss about Buckingham Palace. Was he staying there? Was him and Meghan and the kids there? Were they not? And in the end, Charles said, no, you're not, because you've messed my staff around so much. You're not staying there. Go and stay where you like. So there was all that kerfuffle, and that was just for 1 week's visit. Imagine what's going to happen now. They're going to come back here. I'm sure they will expect help from the royal family. Meghan has already said that Harry is not the one who should be apologising for the fallout. Well, it's the two of them who should be apologising. They're the ones who flounced out of the country, called the British people racist, slammed the media, said they were going to go make their own lives, live independent lives. And well, that's lasted like 5 3/4 years. And here they are coming back, expecting to be forgiven for everything they've done.
And politically, there'll be a row, of course, if they are getting support from the Home Office for their security, Nigel. But I want to talk to you as well about a story in The Sun today. They may be thinking, the government is thinking of processing asylum applications offshore in a foreign country. We had a scheme called Rwanda, and on day one, dopey Keir Starmer, never hear Keir, scrapped it. And I always thought they scrapped it because they feared it might work.
No, they scrapped it because it cost too much money. They'd already spent 700 million.
How much does it cost to allow all these people to stay?
Well, the entire scheme was actually budgeted for 10 billion, and the most senior official in the Home Office wouldn't sign it off as value for money, which is why they had to have a ministerial direction to get it through. This is not Rwanda, by the way. No. What they're talking about here is return hubs. That is a different thing. What happened with Rwanda was that we were going to send asylum seekers there directly, and they stayed there, unless they found a route out to go elsewhere. The idea of return hubs is for failed asylum seekers, once their claim has been turned down in this country, you then go to a third country where they would be processed and deported from there either back to their home country.
Why don't we just deport them? If the application has failed, why don't we just deport them?
The argument has been that it's much more difficult to deport somebody from your own country than a third country. The tricky part of this thing is to find a third country that wants to go through this rigmarole.
But why is it more complex?
Well, because we've seen it in court. At the moment, they're changing the law. The immigration bill is going through Parliament to change the ECHR's Article 8, which guarantees family life. That is being dealt with, but up until now, asylum seekers have used that as a way of not being removed. So the change is happening. On the basis of that, you will no longer have immigration judges, you'll have adjudicators. Once the adjudicator has said the asylum claim has failed, then you're open to actually sending them off to one of these...
Where are these return hubs going to be?
I'm sorry?
Where are the return hubs going to be?
Well, good point. Keir Starmer tried to get one in Albania, and the Albanians said, no way, we don't want 40,000 asylum seekers traipsing across our country. So at the moment, they haven't found any. Italy is still sorting it out with Albania, but Italy and Albania are much closer.
But this is all just the nonsense of this government. Rwanda would have worked had the Labour Party not kept on.
We don't know that. There's absolutely no evidence that Rwanda would have worked.
Why didn't they try it?
Because of the cost of it.
Can I just say this? Shabana Mahmood said Rwanda was not working and did not work. That's nonsense. It was never given the chance to work because the Labour Party kept on voting it down. The Lords kept on voting it down. They were saying Rwanda wasn't a safe country. Now other European countries are actually arranging to send their people to Rwanda. One of the most
Which European countries?
Well, Germany was in negotiations with it. Italy was trying to send...
But America has done a deal with Rwanda.
Exactly.
So only 250 migrants, which is hardly going to make a dent in the problem.
If it's safe for them, why isn't it safe for the people of this country? The bottom line is they just wanted to chuck this out because it was a Tory idea and they were terrified it was going to work.
Well, the Supreme Court ruled it wasn't safe. So that's
and the Supreme Court is packed with lefty judges.
Well...
No, we do have a problem, which is that there are many countries, well, a small number, sorry, I should say, of countries in the world now where it is impossible to deport anybody back to for various reasons, no diplomatic ties, war-torn areas, and yet they are, of course, some of the countries where people are coming across from. So we're now facing the situation where people from, let's say, Eritrea, there was a crime by an Eritrean man reported on the weekend, committing horrific crimes, but there's no prospect ever of deporting them. That is a problem.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you totally, but I mean, obviously, if that person's home country is not safe, you can't send them back there. And the other problem is, what if the country won't accept them?
Seriously, do we care that an Eritrean man who raped an elderly gentleman on a park bench, do I care if he's safe back in his home country? No, I really don't.
Well, you're happy to condemn him to death?
Yeah, I don't care what happens to him. I'm not going to say those words because that's a silly thing for me to ask him to say, but I don't care what happens to him.
You reap what you sow, Nigel.
Well, yeah, I mean, but...
A brutal rape of a pensioner...
Do we not believe in any human rights at all?
Not his.
Have we thrown this out the window completely now?
I think he pretty much expunged his human rights by doing that to an elderly man.
So you're prepared to actually see a death sentence put on him?
He knows what the sentence in his country is for doing what he did. So instead of doing it there, he came over here and did it. Homosexuality, any form of sex with two men, is legal in Eritrea. He knows that. So he comes here and he does it here. No. Don't talk about the human rights of men to me who actually rape 14-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls. I don't care about them.
Well, the British government long-standing policy to be opposed to capital punishment in all circumstances, and that includes facilitating it.
Look what's happened to our country as a result of that kind of liberalism.
My view is beginning to change rapidly on capital punishment.
Well, then when we open up a completely different debate, whether capital punishment is a fair punishment or not.
But it's not us doing it. He knows what he has done in his country. I don't think
you can argue that for any criminal.
No, I don't think he would get capital punishment. There is a jail sentence that goes with what he did in Eritrea, and he didn't do it there. He chose to do it here. Why? Because he probably knows nothing. You know what will happen to him? He'll go to prison, and I don't know why it took the jury 2 hours to convict him, and I don't know why they're not going to sentence him till autumn. But he'll probably get 5 years here, maybe, out in 2.5. Is that fair?
No.
No.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Carol, Nigel, thank you so much for your time this morning. Plenty more to come on Britain's Newsroom, but first of all, your 60-second news update with Tatiana Sanchez.
Good morning. Thank you very much. In other news today, Harry and Meghan are set to return to the UK 6 years after leaving for America. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are expected to move back at the end of August for their children Archie and Lilibet to attend British schools this September. It's understood the King was only made aware of the move on Sunday, which His Majesty is said to be pleased about. Elsewhere, the GCSE overall pass rate has fallen slightly for the 5th year in a row, but top grades have edged up across England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Meanwhile, girls have once again achieved better GCSE results than boys, but the gap between the genders is getting smaller. And the Home Office has released a 7-page booklet telling asylum seekers not to rape women. It follows a rise in migrant convictions linked to sex attacks. Official government guidance informs arrivals it's illegal to hit and control women, and they cannot sleep with anyone underage or asleep. Those are your latest GB News headlines. For now, there's more news at midday.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Up at noon, good afternoon, Britain, with Mark and Emily. Well, what's coming up on the show? Lots going on
busy
today.
All day.
Certainly
busy
is.
All day. I want to say Harry and Meghan first, but I'm not going to. We want to do this pamphlet story because it's just shocking, the production of this pamphlet, an admission from the government that, yes, there are males from certain cultures and countries that are a risk group, something that had always been denied before. Those that said as much were, of course, branded racist.
We were racist.
And someone who has been is Suella Braverman. Now she's speaking at the moment, but we're going to have her on the show to ask her. You know, you were saying these things years ago. Do you feel vindicated now?
Yeah.
But I know under the Conservatives there were other sort of programmes to try and, you know, ease social cohesion and teach people how to behave in this country. But this pamphlet is very on the nose.
Well, it blows to lit, doesn't it?
I mean, are women
knows how
now
bad these men are.
Are we allowed to now say, as women and I mean, even male pensioners, that actually there might be a risk? I think we are. You can no longer be called a bigot if the Home Office has to publish something like this to try and teach our new arrivals.
And when they try and put these young men in your local community, there will be understandably a backlash because we don't want them here.
They can't come away now with saying that, you know, people who are out on the streets protesting because of concerns over safety are just following, you know, the far-right bandwagon here. They, by their own admission, are saying that men from certain countries and cultures are a risk.
Yeah.
Andy Burnham said, I think it was last week, he talked about sharing the burden.
He did.
Well, it's quite a burden, not just a financial one. I think his words have different meaning now.
That's what Shabana Mahmood is saying today, isn't she? She's saying we need to share people equally around the country. This is about fairness. Well, the problem is a hell of a lot of people don't want any of them, shared around the country or not.
We want them deported.
And now, belatedly as well, they're apparently discussing the potential for a Rwanda-type third country scheme after, you know...
Day one.
Yeah, day one, just scrapping it.
Scrapped it. Because they weren't even willing to let it try and see if it would work.
I think that was a big mistake.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
Mark and Emily will stay tuned. That's coming up at midday. But up next...
Find out why changes to marriage could lead to women having to give up more of their hard-earned assets if they split up. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Plenty of showers around today for many parts of the UK, but especially for England and Wales, where there'll be thunderstorms and it will feel much cooler compared with summer so far. Marked change in weather, high pressure now out to the west of the UK, low pressure to the east, and that's bringing this cool northerly airflow and instability, causing a lot of shower development into the afternoon. The most lively downpours with hail and thunder moving through northern England into the Midlands and parts of Wales by the afternoon, merging to give longer spells of rain. In between there will be some bright spells, especially in the far south, although temperatures at 22, 23 Celsius mean that it's actually below average for a change further north. Even cooler for Scotland, northern England. Still some showers, not as many or as lively as recent days. So we end the afternoon and go into the evening with further showers, but they'll be easing across the southwest while continuing through much of Wales, the Midlands and eastern England. Frequent showers for Northern Ireland, not quite as heavy as Wednesday's showers, and for Scotland and northern England, mixture of cloudy spells, some bright spells, but also frequent downpours. Longer spells of rain for northern Scotland and a brisk breeze from the north. That's going to make it feel on the cool side overnight, wherever you are, but especially for northern parts of the UK. Under any clear skies, temperatures will fall into the low single figures in places, perhaps even a touch of grass frost in sheltered parts of Scotland. And in the south, 13, 14 Celsius, but certainly a fresher feel as we start off Friday compared with so many mornings recently. There'll be further showers through the day on Wednesday, but they'll be more focused towards Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, again with some heavy downpours here. A few showers trundling down the eastern coast of the UK. In between, mostly dry, a lot of cloud and certainly feeling much cooler than recent weather.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's 22 minutes to 12. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Labour's marriage light revolution could lead to a decline in birth rates.
Well, this comes as cohabiting couples who have lived together for more than 3 years might be granted new rights.
So courts will now be allowed to make financial orders affecting property, pensions and capital when the couple split.
Well, let's speak to social commentator and writer Lois McClatchy-Miller. Lois, welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. Now, the consultation has just closed last week. What exactly is the government proposing?
Right. Well, the last thing that broken Britain needs is more family breakdown, which costs the taxpayer over £51 billion a year. But this proposal actually could lead to more of that. So the government has proposed that couples that live together for 3 years or more would have the right to make financial cost orders against each other at the end of that relationship, bearing in mind how much one person earned versus another, the kind of standard of life they might have had. So an easier way to kind of think about it, if we think about Taylor Swift, for example, who dated Joe Alwyn for 6 years living together in the UK. So when that relationship broke up, Taylor may have had to, Joe may have made a financial cost order against Taylor, and she would potentially have owed him, because of her income, multiple millions of pounds.
Even though they never intended to get married, and obviously they're an exception, but there might be couples who decide after they've been going out a short time to move in to save cost on their rent, for example, without ever thinking that they were entering into a legal arrangement.
Well, this is the exact issue that comes up. So when a marriage happens, it's typically something which involves excitement, certainly consent, to make a decision to commit in public to merge two lives together. It is a joint consensual arrangement. But these orders would come in, these reforms would come in without really the knowledge of those people involved. They would be opt-out, which means that most people would, living together with a boyfriend for goodness knows how long. Has it been 3 years yet? When did we move in together? As relationships rumble along, suddenly they would find themselves potentially having a financial obligation to each other, which they never signed up to.
Where did the pressure come from for this change?
Well, I suppose more and more families are arranging themselves as cohabiting adults in today's Britain. And I can see an argument being made on the other side to say, well, shouldn't they? Would that not increase family stability if there was some sort of obligation at the end of a relationship? And I can see the argument for that. But when we look at how these reforms have impacted other countries, the Centre for Social Justice just brought out a report on how these reforms impacted family life in Finland. And they found that actually the marriage rate declined, that cohabiting relationships did not become more stable, they still were more unstable than marriages. And in fact, the birth rate also declined by quite some way. And they've predicted if Britain follows Finland, that our birth rate here will decrease by 75,000 births per year.
And we've already got a problem with the birth rate.
Yeah. Well, indeed, yeah. And replacement level is above 2.1 children per couple, but actually in the UK it's 1.4 right now. And when the birth rate declines, that leads to all sorts of problems for society. The welfare state that we have in this country is kind of a Ponzi scheme. You need lots of working age adults to be able to support the few who need more support.
And why do you think these reforms do have that impact? Do you think they make people more frightened of the burden of commitment rather than seeing it as something positive? It's seen as something put on them. How would you explain that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think for the majority of couples, I think a lot of women enter relationships or enter a cohabiting relationship with the expectation that probably after a short amount of time it will lead on to marriage and children. I think that's generally an expectation. But more and more millennial women find themselves having spent their fertile years with a boyfriend who hasn't ultimately had that life experience of the benefit of making commitment, and find themselves approaching 40, exceeding 40, and thinking, well, this isn't exactly how I wanted that to go. I think what will happen most likely is, there's survey and polling data out last week to show that actually over 70% of people have no idea this is even happening. So I think what we'll see is that people won't know about this and will be hit with a financial order once they split.
It seems to me that lawyers are going to do rather well out of this.
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine being a family lawyer, being able to go through everybody's WhatsApps? Now, when did they move in together?
Yeah.
When did it become a committed relationship? Or when was it just, a kind of more friends with benefits situation?
It's a bonanza for the lawyers, isn't it?
They'll make a fortune. They'll make a fortune, yeah.
Well, personally, let's hope it falls by the wayside of one of those many government consultations, but absolutely fascinating.
Really is.
Lois McClatchy, thank you so much for coming on Britain's Newsroom.
Now, up next, GBNews presenter Camilla Tominey will give her take on Harry and Meghan returning to Britain. She's been writing about the royals for a very long time. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast of some of our top European destinations.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. We continue to see heavy rain across parts of the Alps over the next 24 hours. Plenty of hot sunshine across Greece. Sunshine continues across parts of Spain and Portugal. 1 or 2 showers there on Friday across Madeira, but plenty of blue skies across Portugal into Spain. Just 1 or 2 showers possible, but that heavy rain continues across parts of the Dolomites and the Alps, but plenty of sunshine in Greece. Athens there, 35 Celsius. And for most it remains sunny through the weekend and into the next week too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Becky, Chad and the beekeepers, Richard, Mohammed and James. Well, thank you all for coming. So tell us what happened.
So I got a phone call about 7:30 on Sunday evening from one of the rangers to tell us that there was a forest fire that was spreading quite rapidly and the bees were in danger, and if we could get down as soon as we could to get them out.
Oh, I suppose this is a real challenge, because bees, whilst they do flit around all over the place, they're pretty stuck to their colonies.
Yes, absolutely. The boys were the ones that were there.
When we approached it, the fire was quite close to the colonies, so we had to make a decision very quickly on whether or not to remove them from the apiary or keep them there and try and just water down the area. And after we saw flames on the horizon, we decided that, no, we've just got to make the decision to move the bees to a safer place, which we did.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I do think it's worrying that young people, I mean, are they I think they are more risk averse.
Yes.
I think they are scared of getting into personal space. I think you're right, there are issues about consent and everything else. But how sad that people say that it's been a year since they've been kissed. What is life for if you're not having a little kiss every now and again?
Yeah, the death of the kiss.
Apparently, much younger people now haven't had a good snog in over 12 months on average, the people that have been interviewed. But I would hazard a guess that that's because people are frightened. Men don't know when they can approach women anymore. Men can think 1 or 2 steps ahead on the same board, whereas a woman will think about 18 steps. So
I think you're overthinking it.
If a man takes you to Paris for the weekend, a woman will come back disappointed that they haven't proposed them, whereas a man thinks they've done a really great thing.
Why do men always think you're going to be proposed to in Paris? That you expect that. We don't expect that. Just take us to Paris.
The People's Channel.
We're only here for like 12 hours. We're flying home at 11 o'clock tonight.
Oh, and mummy and daughter.
Yeah, and it only costs £70, so we thought, well, why not? Because it's cheaper than a supermarket shop.
Supermarket shop or spending the day in Benidorm with cheap booze.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer.
And is there no chance you might just decide we're going to stay?
No, because my husband would kill me.
We did consider it because I said to my mum earlier on, we might just stay and miss the flight, but she's not up for it.
Has your husband actually visited Benidorm on his own?
No, he hasn't. I've been here 27 times. That's my daughter's first time. She's a Benidorm virgin. But
well,
my husband's never been.
Not that he's told you anyway, let's put it like that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Well, if you don't know this, where have you been all morning? Because Harry and Meghan are set to return to the UK 6 years after leaving these shores for the United States.
I bet you can't wait. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will move back to Britain at the end of August. We don't know where they're going to live, but it's reportedly outside of London. Their children, Archie and Lilibet, who are both titled, both prince and princesses, will attend schools from September.
And it's understood that the King was only made aware of the new move on Sunday.
But what does the public think? Let's take a listen.
They trashed the whole country numerous times, betrayed their family, betrayed his king, his father, went out to America, and now they're bored and now they want to come back.
He's just truly British at the end of the day, and he just misses home. But I don't know, it's very odd. It's all been a complete surprise to us, hasn't it? And it doesn't fill me with joy, doesn't fill me with sadness. I'm fairly neutral about it.
Surprised. But on the other hand, I can kind of see for him, probably feels a bit cast aside. So he's come back, and I guess the guy lost his mother, so cutting my break sort of thing.
Different views there.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what Camilla Tominey makes it all, because she's been reporting on the royal family for many, many years at the Daily Telegraph, and before that, the Sunday Express. And, of course, Camilla broke the story about Harry's relationship with Meghan in the first place. And she joins us now. Camilla, were you as surprised as everybody else by this?
It's a marmalade dropper, isn't it? Or a jam dropper, as I should say, to reference Meghan's Montecito endeavours. I mean, initially I was shocked, and then when I thought about it, I thought, am I actually all that surprised? I think when Prince Harry was over for the court case, he sort of hinted at a degree of longing for his homeland. I think as well we need to be mindful of the fact that he remains in the line of succession, although they can't use their titles. Their children, as you just pointed out, Andrew, are a prince and princess, and therefore, where would you want to bring them up if you wanted them to be close to their royal roots, and if that had relevance for you moving forward in your kind of quest to have some kind of pseudo-royal charitable role and commercialise? I mean, when I've given it some thought last night, and I've written a piece for The Telegraph, which is running on the website today, in a way, isn't this them getting what they always wanted, which is this kind of half-in, half-out hybrid role? They'll come back to Britain. They're not going to be living in a royal residence, right? So they live independently and privately, yet they still have the cachet of being royals, and they can commercialise and make money. I mean, my piece is a bit cynical, as is always the case, because I kind of cast a gimlet eye over them. Obviously, Harry and Meghan, the return, is good fodder for another docuseries, right? So if you're going to monetize on the back of what you do with your life, be it your royal role or jam making or repositioning yourself, in Meghan's case, as the next sort of Martha Stewart, they've done that in Montecito. If there's a new chapter in the UK, then they will attract a following for that, whether people like them or loathe them.
Can you see is this the next Netflix documentary, Camilla?
Well, I don't know if it's Netflix or it's anyone else, but this is the funny thing about them, right? Okay, there are two different camps. They are like Marmite. Some people do love them, some people do hate them. For those that don't like them, they're going to be turned off by this. They're not going to turn out at their events and all the rest of it. But they do have a caucus of support. When they came over and did the Invictus pre-event, you know, there were people there cheering them on. In their own world, they are popular among their own people. If they can continue to leverage that popularity with a certain section of the public in order to make more commercial gain, then they're going to do it. And equally, you know, where would you come if you need to do some, as I've put it, line of succession math? You come to the land of tea and ermine, you come to the land where royalty was made over the course of the last millennia, right? And you come back to somewhere which, let's be honest, has got a great education system for their children. This was the telling thing with my colleague Victoria Ward's scoop here at The Telegraph, is that this enrolling into schools for September, this is not an extended holiday. This is serious stuff, right? They're not doing this by halves. Yes, they're keeping the Montecito mansion. Yes, they've got a property in Portugal as well. I mean, great, nice work if you can get it. But clearly they want to reposition themselves here. And as I've written, the gamble really is bigger for Meghan than for Harry.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Really
I mean, that's intriguing in itself, because people were sitting in Windsor in 2018 saying, oh, I'll give it a year. I mean, she is channeling her inner Tammy Wynette here. She's standing by her man, who may or may not have been homesick in America and has come back with him. I mean, the whole thing's remarkable.
Really is.
Well, Camilla, we are going to have to leave it there, but well done on your scoop.
And
led the headlines
great
this
piece
morning, that's for sure.
And I read your piece today, Camilla, a terrific piece, and I'm sure this will be featuring on your programme on Sunday.
It will run and run, as they say.
It certainly will, Camilla. Camilla Tominey, brilliant.
It is also a good time to move in terms of the age of the children.
Yeah.
A great time to start a new school when they're still pretty young.
And we shouldn't forget, the King is still very sick with cancer, and so it would be rather nice for him if he gets some quality time with his grandchildren.
Let's hope. Well, that's it from Britain's Newsroom.
With the daughter-in-law.
Up next, we've got Mark and Emily. I'm sure they can't wait to talk about Harry and Meghan as well. See you tomorrow.
See you.
Absolutely. I want to know all the details. Where are they going to be living? Where are they going to be going to school, the children? But anyway, Mark and I are absolutely staggered by this pamphlet issued by the Home Office to asylum seekers, essentially telling them that they can't rape underage children in this country and that they need to ask for consent first.
Yeah, and it comes on the back, of course, of the latest deportation figures that shows we've only sent 6,000 small boat migrants back when 80,000 arrived here.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. A day of sunshine and showers today. Some of them will be heavy, the risk of hail and thunder as well, some local travel disruption. A Met Office warning for those thunderstorms in place for parts of England and Wales as heavy showers push southwards. Not everywhere will see the showers. There will be some sunny spells in between, a northerly breeze behind this band of showery rain as well, setting in, feeling quite cool across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland. The mid-teens here. In the best of the sunshine, perhaps 22 or 23 Celsius across southern parts of England, around 20 Celsius there across southern Wales as well. Those showers continuing to push southwards into the evening time and turning quite chilly as well. So looking at the details across northern Scotland, a cloudy end to the day, some showery outbreaks of rain, perhaps 1 or 2 glimmers of sunshine, showers across southern Scotland into Northern Ireland as well, but not quite as heavy compared to during the afternoon. Heavy showers though for England and Wales to end the day, and some rumbles of thunder still possible as well. Temperatures around 18 Celsius there around 7 or 8 p.m. However, those showers should start to fade away as we head through the latter part of the day into the early hours. Still some coastal showers, but inland we'll see plenty of clear skies developing, and that will allow for quite a chilly night. Temperatures, towns and cities just about holding in double figures, but in the countryside 5 or 6 degrees in 1 or 2 spots. But it does mean there'll be more sunny spells around tomorrow morning, but some showers around coastal areas. 1 or 2 of these could be heavy at times too, and they may just develop a little further inland as we move through into the afternoon. But that northerly breeze remains, so temperatures around, if not a little below average for the time of year. We haven't seen that for quite some time. Highs around 21 or 22 Celsius towards southern England. Elsewhere, the mid to high teens. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could win over £65,000 in prizes.
You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner.
First of all, we want to give you
£60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225.